Anyone else?
Of all the character redesigns that you've done over your career, is there something that you were particularly fond of, or is one that is your favorite?
Yeah, any character designs that are fond of. No, I don't really. I leave that up to the audience, and I know kind of hit or miss with the character designs. What I love about designing characters is like how long they look kind of interesting or cool, because the times change. If you ever look back on your old photographs, at least for me, like big shoulders and little skinny ties and stuff, and you just really realize that the whims of aesthetics and fashion change over the years. And so I don't know, you'd probably have to wait and see like what's still around in 10 years or 15 years. If anything, But I know that there's something I was embarrassed about when I did the X-Men. They had those blue and yellow costumes, like those Borat costumes, and I was just like, it just felt very odd to me, but I went with it because that was something that Chris really had a fetish for, or no, was interested in, sorry. And but then, at first it struck me as kind of odd, then later I was like, you know what, I like it. It's very different and of that era, and, kind of predated, it was ahead of its time, I guess. I'm trying to think. So that's my answer. She looks very serious. I don't know what's going on here.
Put a smile on her.
That's it? No more questions?
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, two questions. One, when you're going with a character like the Hulk, how do you know when too many muscles are too many? And then also,
I'm sorry. You said when I go draw.
When you go with a character like the Hulk, how do you know when too many muscles are too many muscles? And then also, when you hit kind of like your peak character, and you kind of said, "This is the best I'm gonna get," what kept you to keep going besides the love of art? Period.
There's never a time in the day or year where I go, yeah, I hit it. Woo! Like there's never, if anything, it's always like, oh my gosh, like this doesn't look right. Then it's more self-critical. It's like hot girls that go like, oh, if I just lost 5 more pounds, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You just see the flaws. So even when people bring up comic books, I just see the mistakes, and so that insecurity drives you to either be a horrible, broken person or a very driven artist that wants to like keep doing cool stuff. And so, I remember when I was a fan growing up, the biggest kind of insult or thing you say to an artist, like, I really like your old stuff better. And so that always kind of haunted me a bit. And I'm sure there's people that feel that way, but in my mind, I'm always trying to not have that said. And I know people have favorites, and people love the X-Men or Hush or All-Star Batman Run, whatever. But so it's my hope though to keep going and doing kind of something different that sets kind of not a new benchmark, but a different benchmark, because I think every generation of readers wants to kind of attach themselves to some storyline, and that's what they remember from their childhood. So I think the key is never to really rest on your laurels and really think like, wow, this really turned out great. And in fact, when I do the pages, after I draw them, I scan them in. They go to Scott Williams, the inker, Alex Sinclair, the colorist, Scott Snyder, the penciler, the editors, Bob Harris, just so they know I'm working or whatever. And I never get a response back. Like no one ever says like great job, or no one ever says like that's horrible. So in a way, you really realize that you have to be your own worst critic, because people won't tell you, certainly after a certain point in your career, if you're doing something that's wrong. So anyway, okay.
The time is now 2 p.m., which means right now the Jack Kirby Legacy panel with Tom Shelby and friends is starting up in room 360A. If you're a fan of Jack the King Kirby, head on up.
Sure, we'll do 2 more and then we can wrap it up. Is that cool?
The free Transformer G.I. Joe books with art by Tom Shelby.
Cool. Thanks. Good to be here. I love the drawing. My question is, when you lay out a page, do you think about the panels on the entire page at one time, or do you just kind of go panel by panel?
G.I. Joe Transformers comics.
When I lay out a page, what?
So head on up to 360A and catch the Jack Kirby Legacy panel. You will not want to miss it.
Yes. So when I lay out a page, what happens?
I'm curious as to know if you just maybe do a thumbnail of the entire page and try to lay out each panel on that page, or do you just kind of think about it one panel at a time, or just the overall page?
I lay it out as a whole. So that's the weird thing about, like, if you read digital comics and comicsology, you can read it where you read it panel by panel, and that's completely contrary to kind of like the way it was designed. So when I look at a page, I'll read the scene and go like, okay, the most important panels are the first or the last or the middle, and then that really guides my decisions and how I lay it out. But I'll go like, all right, I think I can do this like this, and then like that, and then I'll try to fit it into those shapes. But that's important to me, and then that also informs the next page and the page before it. So it's not even independently of just that page, but also the flow of it. And after I draw a page, I basically go back to the beginning of the book and kind of flip through and feel like the rhythm, like, you know, are there too many large shots, or maybe there are a lot of large shots on purpose? Is there a nice kind of rhythm to it? So it's almost like a song that you're kind of building, and it's got a beginning, middle, end, and you kind of want to end with a certain kind of size panel depending on the scene, right? Whether it's a big cliffhanger or if it's a thoughtful panel will dictate the size of it. So
everybody listen to what I'm saying. I have in my possession a gigantic AT&T phone. It's huge, and it's not in your pocket like you thought it was. Everybody stop if you own an AT&T phone and figure out if I have your AT&T phone. If you are missing your AT&T phone, I probably have it. Please head upstairs to the second level to the ticketing area and tell us what your phone looks like to receive your phone once again. I will be making long-distance phone calls in 30 minutes. Thank you.
Last 2 questions, guys. Quick questions. I'm gonna go here.
How has your role changed now as co-publisher as opposed to artist, and will you still keep drawing, you know, for the foreseeable future?
It's changed it quite a bit, but I'll tell you that there are times when I've thought about, well, what if I just didn't do the office thing, if I just did art, or vice versa, and I think I'd just be ultimately kind of bored. One of the reasons why I kind of did both, I don't know who asked the question. One of the reasons I did both is because they both engage different parts of your brain, and they both required creativity, but in different ways. And so, you know, as co-publisher, you're managing the overall line and the creative direction of all the books and trying to get the best creators on there, and that requires you to really not think about your work and your own personal taste per se. You're doing what's best for the characters, or what's best for the line, or what works best with the creators on that character. And then when you do your own work, it's much more of a selfish thing in that you're just focusing on what works best for the project you're working on, and not even mindful of the other books per se. So it's nice that you have that kind of mix and that balance, because ultimately it keeps you from kind of getting bored or too kind of ground down by some of the, you know, the day-to-day kind of elements of either job that can be kind of stressful. it's nice to basically sit down and think about the business of comics and then go home and draw a comic book, because it's just very different kind of experiences. But they're both equally engaging to me and of interest to me. So I count myself very fortunate that I can be involved in both.
Last question. Raise your hand up high. This is the last one. We're gonna go with her here.
Whenever you hit an art block, if you've ever hit an art block before, what inspires you to break out of it?
What's the question? Sorry.
If you've ever hit an art block before, what do you do, or what inspires you to break out of that?
Art block? Artist block? Is that what you're asking? Yeah. I don't know. I've got 9 kids, and so not a lot of time to draw and a lot of bills to pay. So there's no time for artist block. There really isn't. There are definitely times when I haven't drawn for a while where it's rusty, and I sometimes feel like if I haven't drawn for like 3 days, I feel like maybe I've forgotten the ability to draw. But you just do it. Even if I don't like something, in fact, there are pages where I've just drawn it going like, this is not good, but I'm just going to continue. And then when I finish it, I go, okay, I now know what I want to do. And I basically put that page aside and draw the one I should have drawn from the beginning. And a lot of times, hopefully, I know that before I complete the whole page. So it's very rare that I complete the whole page. But just really, this week, I drew a page from issue 9 of Superman Unchained, finished it, scanned it, sent it to everyone. Then I said, like 2 days later, like, I'm not happy with that page. And I knew it was a struggle as I was drawing it, but I wanted to get something done. I finished it very late at night. And then I just went back and drew something completely different. But it's kind of like you learn from your mistakes and you learn from the doing. So not doing anything doesn't help you. So I just feel like put something down, and then whatever is blocking your ability to move forward, at least you can see what's not working and go, well, maybe I need to change the angle, or maybe I need to change the composition. And at least when you're drawing something, even if it's not your best, you feel like you're productive. The worst thing is to sit down and not draw anything for 3 or 4 hours. I would rather have half a panel done in 3 or 4 hours than nothing. And so a lot of it is just persistence, and also the acknowledgement that there's no way you're going to draw something perfect each and every time. So you got to do what's best for the moment in the story that you're in, and just kind of push yourself forward. And but I've redrawn a lot of things, but I'd rather do that than not have anything on the board. Okay, so we're done. I think that's it. So I'm gonna, or do it right? All right, so I'm gonna figure out some way to give these away.